Welcome to the Open Waters podcast, where we are venturing into the deep of what God is saying and doing through the body of Christ and through Open Waters worship.
Come join us as we grow in unity, relationships, and true intimacy with Jesus. Let's dive in. Let's go.
Awesome. Hello. I believe this is working. This is on.
Is the video on?
Hello. Sorry.
Is the video on too?
Is the video on? Yes, it's on.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, hello everybody that is listening to us right now.
Hi.
Argue amongst ourselves if the video is on.
Checking in.
Oh, it's okay.
So, Josiah,
What?
you're hitting things off with Open Waters, what it is.
Oh, yes. So, everybody, if you didn't know and you tuned into this podcast, this is the Open Waters podcast. So, welcome. If this is your first time, we're happy you're here, even if you listen for just a couple seconds. But we appreciate you guys being here. Open Waters is a ministry in the southern of Utah aimed at making a worship night and a revival start through worship. Our next worship night, if you want to join us, is going to be the 22nd at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
If you want the address, visit our Instagram. But we do it every second and fourth, and so this next week is going to be the 22nd at 7 p.m. You can also join us on the live stream, which will be on YouTube at the Open Waters Worship YouTube page. So feel free to join us there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so every other week, the topic that we talk about here on the podcast is the theme of the Open Waters Worship Night. So since this is falling on the week of that, we're going to be talking about the theme that we're going to be actually focusing on at Open Waters Worship. So
yeah.
And also, if you want more details on why we started this podcast and about Open Waters Worship, you can just check out episodes 1 and 2, and you'll kind of get some more information. You'll be in the know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Josiah, I thought, since we're just getting started with the podcast, I thought it would be fun for us to just share a little bit about ourselves. Something just kind of silly, but it also can be kind of informative. So
people want to know about us?
Yeah, I know. Crazy, huh? Maybe.
Oh, well.
I don't know. Maybe they'll fast forward through this part.
I don't know. Maybe.
Anyway, I wanted to find out, let's talk about what your favorite color is and why.
Well, that's a whack question. My favorite color is red, mainly because...
You can't say red, that's my color.
That's unfortunate.
Oh.
I said it first.
Oh, whatever.
But my favorite color is red.
Okay.
It's just my favorite color. That's it.
Well, what do you like about it?
It's just a nice color.
Okay, what's nice about it?
It's the blood of my enemies. I'm just kidding.
The blood of your enemies?
No,
Wow.
It's just, red has been my favorite color forever. I think it's just because, I don't know. It's just, I settled on red when I was younger, so I don't know if I can remember that far back.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is red. Ironically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of lame. But anyway, the reason why I like red is because it's vibrant, it's passionate, it's powerful. I look good in red. I look really good in red, actually. It's my favorite color lipstick to wear. And I have a few walls in our house that are red. It's just, I don't know. It's lively and bright reasons. And
yeah, you have real reasons
fun.
To like it.
Yeah, and just full of zest and life. And that's why I like red.
I did go to prom in a red and white.
You did. It was a white.
Tux?
It was like a white tux.
It a tux. Oh, it was a white and red accent.
Red. Yeah, it was so cool.
It's pretty cool.
Sharp.
But yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Pretty sick.
Is there any other question you think they would want to know about us?
Well, since we already told them what our favorite food was last week, and then what also kind of our short story to being saved.
I got another one. Sure. Mountains or beach?
It depends the time of year.
No. Really? You can't say both. If you could only choose one, what would you choose?
With my personality, I'd have to choose beach. I'm a very laid back person, so I am one of those people that is just I'm just gonna lay down.
I know, man. So one of our one of our daughters, Rachel, she's the only daughter.
Your daughters.
Dan and I. That's what I meant by ours.
I was like,
anyway,
I'm not married at all, bro.
She's heading out to Hawaii, and our son-in-law's already out there. And I know, Josiah, you're like, maybe I'll go out there for a little while because I could totally see you digging the Hawaii life.
I probably will
driving your moped downtown.
I mean, with my job, I can work remote, so I might as well at some point just move down there. But I've got a lot of stuff happening here, so
yeah, you do. I know
Open Waters Hawaii might
you got
become
a heart.
thing.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Right now it's Open Waters with a heart for Utah and beyond. So
I'm not a campus person. Like, you know how churches have multiple campuses. It's like sometimes if you're called to do campus ministry, that is what it is. Like have multiple
I see what you're
locations.
saying. Yeah.
But for me, it's more like right now I'm not called to do that. So maybe at some point though,
You're a
Hawaii,
one-shot wonder, one-place wonder.
well, it does bring a lot of things to the state. Like, you know,
It sure does.
it's like, all right, we got to go to Utah. Like, you know, you got to go to Bethel to go to like you got to either go to Texas or you got to go to California.
Jesus Image in Florida.
So
Fresh Start in Arizona.
yeah, calling out all these nice churches. They're
Jonathan
awesome.
and Melissa Helser in North Carolina. Whoa.
Just dropped.
Okay.
My bad,
Whoops.
guys.
Josiah
Apologies.
just dropped his phone. Sorry. That
Okay.
just
Anyway,
gotcha.
continue.
So our topic this week, why don't we dive into that?
Yeah, what is it? You're the one that came up with this week's topic.
Well, okay, I did.
So expound on it.
Okay. So it's called Dancing in the Rain. Wow. So it was kind of interesting because, man, I have so much to say about this, but I was kind of struck with the rain thing adding, because it was just kind of like, first of all, it started for me, this whole topic, with a long time ago with a vision the Lord gave me. And then it was confirmed. I was just kind of praying about some things in our personal life. And then God took me to this one verse. But before that, just scrolling through Instagram, and you might have heard some of the controversy over it or whatever. I think it's ridiculous controversy, but whatevs. Drew Barrymore was, she posted something about dancing in the rain. I don't know if you heard about that. Anyway,
No.
And she was kind of dissed for it, but I watched it. And you just saw her just kind of running around in the rain, just kind of carefree. And there's something about, for me, especially rain. I grew up in Florida. I love thunderstorms. I sleep so good in thunderstorms, lightning, and the whole thing. But I really, really love the rain. There's something refreshing. There's something nourishing. There's something comforting. Like even you just if you're outside and it's a warm rain, it's fun to be in. If you're inside, it's cozy to kind of cozy up. It's just rain conjures up a lot of good feelings for me. So
I mean, we are in a desert, so it is kind of a physically nice, and then also it is a kind of like a prophetic meaning of, you know, getting that refill we need.
That's right.
As
Yeah,
a state.
totally. So I actually, I guess the biggest thing for me is okay, I'll just read this scripture verse first. And it really just brought me back to my first sozo. Do you know what a sozo is? Yeah.
Do I know what a sozo is? Yes.
Yeah.
Inner healing. Well, if you guys don't know on there and listening, it is inner healing, and it's really just inviting God into the places of your heart to get healing from Him, rather than trying to go like to a therapist. You obviously still should go to a therapist and stuff like that, but it is asking God and letting Him come into those places and heal you.
Yeah. So it's a Greek word that means saved, delivered, and healed. It's beautiful. It involves your body, your mind, and your spirit. So I had this particular session, first time out at Bethel, and I had just really been freed from some major situations in my heart. And I had before seen myself as a little girl kind of just, I don't know, just kind of lifeless and gray. And then the Lord took me before His throne, and I was this beautiful little girl just dancing before His throne and just twirling around. And it's been kind of a theme. Like I've done some other inner healing painting type things, sozo painting stuff. And again, the Lord just showed me my happy place, my safe place was at times it's at the beach because, I asked you what you were and we never went back to it. But beach, you said beach. I'm a beach girl. So that's my choose the mountains, choose the beach. I'm a beach girl. But that's one of my happy places. But the other happy place where I've gone to in some of those really special moments is just kind of dancing free like a little girl. Because when you think of children are just so free. They're not taken down by the cares of this world. They haven't had a lot of situations, most of them, hopefully. There are some that do. But we're supposed to just be like safe, provided for, carefree. And so that's kind of where I go to in some of these places as a happy place. Mm-hmm. But then as I was reading this week, I was really praying about some things. And God took me to 1 Peter 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to read it to you.
1 Peter.
first and amplified. So it's therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. Set aside self righteous pride so that he may exalt you to a place of honor in his service at the appropriate time, casting all your cares, all your anxieties, all your worries, and all your concerns once and for all on him, for he cares about you with deepest affection. Oh my goodness. When I read that, that struck me so much. Deepest
Hmm.
affection. And he watches over you very carefully. And so then I also looked it up in the Message Bible because I like to compare some of these
Yeah,
paraphrase ones.
makes
And
sense.
so it says, so be content with who you are. Don't put on airs. God's strong hand is upon you. He'll promote you at the right time. Live carefree before God. He is most careful with you. And so I just, again, was reminded of, I just had this visual as I was meditating on that verse. Just a visual of me dancing in the rain, kind of carefree, like I was saying, Drew Barrymore, kind of doing that and just excitedly doing that. And then combined with what the Lord showed me through these different healing experiences of just dancing carefree as a little girl. And I just love that, where he has deepest affection for you and he's carefully watching over you so you can live carefree. And that just, for me, that's like dancing, like just dancing my way, just kind of twirling around through life, even through the hard places. Yeah.
Well, I guess this kind of reminds me of, well, not I guess. This reminds me of a time where I actually went up in front of my church and gave a word kind of similar to what you like you said just now. And it was based on a child just dancing with Jesus, jumping up and
Mm,
down and letting him twirl you. And it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, like you
that's
enjoy
right.
being thrown around by your father. I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't have the opportunity to, like many people, this is your opportunity to let God do that with you.
Right.
Even if it's just spiritually, you can go and dance by yourself in your room. It honestly is very freeing to do that. Um, but I went in front of the church and gave this word because I felt like it's a lot. It was really needed. A lot of people in the church are restrained by what other people think,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that you should strive to embarrass yourself, but I think there's a point of freedom that comes with carelessness, and what other people think of you. Freedom from what people think of you, and like the status quo of what you should be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I think it's kind of bifold. It could be multiple fold, but like we do this spiritually with God and we do this emotionally where we can just be one, we can be free with God and knowing we can go about life, and yes, hardships will come. We have to adult. We have responsibilities. There are true traumas, there are true
Yeah.
difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
and yet he is carefully watching over us. So if we know that he's carefully watching over us with deepest affection, then we can just go about like children and enjoy the present and be present and know that he's going to take care of us, and just, you know, not get caught up in trying to act a certain way or be a certain way, that kind of a thing. So, and then
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also like you said, spiritual sometimes, like, or physical. Like you might, there is something really freeing about literally getting your body involved in what's happening with your spirit and what's happening in your emotions, and dancing free before him.
Yeah.
There's lots of verses in the Bible about that, about just dancing. David danced with all his might and he became even more undignified than this. There's something that happens, and even if it's just us expressing, our love, and just like a child will freely express their love in a safe environment when they know they're loved,
Mm-hmm.
just to they get excited and they dance around, and sometimes that spills over into the physical, like with your actual body in worship.
Yeah. Well, I think also sometimes when you allow yourself to be free in worship and stuff, and it allows you to push through maybe your aching or your burnt outness or your
That's good.
your drained
Yeah.
self. Because actually today when I was at worship, I was like, man, I just want to go. I want to go because I was at worship practice and I was like, okay, I want to go home and rest because I've been working all day.
Yeah.
I've had this issue at work, not like anything bad, but just like the problem I'm working on right now
Yeah.
because I'm a web developer. We're just a bunch of problem solvers,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm struggling with this problem, trying to figure out what's wrong, and I couldn't figure it out today, which I only spent a couple hours on it, but it's like kind of disappointing you couldn't figure it out. So it's like I just want to go home. I just want to go to rest, wind down. But then we really got into like a place where the Holy Spirit was starting to move, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna play through it, and I'm gonna essentially dance in the rain, even though
it's so good.
I might be struggling with, feeling drained. I'm gonna still dance anyway, and it honestly is more refreshing to dance rather than to just sit there and mope around and be like, I'm gonna go home. Because if you mope around, you're just gonna have a worse time than you would if you were just to go into what the Holy Spirit is leading in. I know I'm talking for a while, but
no, you're good. You're good.
Like a lot of people when they go to church and worship goes on for, let's say, if your church usually goes like you have worship at your church,
right?
And it goes on for 10 minutes.
Ooh, 10 minutes,
really short,
so long.
It's so long. Just kidding. And then for some reason it goes on for a half hour. There's going to be a lot of people in that church that are like, okay, why is this worship going so long?
Uncomfortable.
It's probably because God's moving. And if you're asking the question, why is this worship going so long? It's because it's probably going long because God needs you to join in.
Right. He's
waiting for his church to arise and worship. And he's waiting for you to dance in the rain, even though you may not feel like worshiping.
Oh, that's so good, Josiah.
It might be, he's giving you this extended opportunity to go into worship. Sorry, I don't mean to talk.
No. Yes, you do.
I do. I'm on a podcast. But this last week at our worship for church, we had like two. It was almost like I think it's an hour and a half almost of worship.
That's crazy.
Instrumental, and it was pretty good. It was all great, and God showed up, and He was moving, and even like just Pastor said what I was saying a second ago is like, and I felt it while I was playing the keys. It was just like, I love that. There's people that are in this place that are not wanting to worship because they think it's going over. Like, oh, what am I doing for lunch? I'm missing my lunch plans. It's not about your plans. Yeah.
It's our flesh.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to command our soul to worship.
Agreed. And that's exactly it too, is like, who's in charge here?
Right.
Is it your soul or is it your flesh?
That's right.
There's a whole nother avenue I could go down with the flesh versus soul fight that we have every day.
Well, maybe we can do that in another podcast.
Maybe another day.
But no, it made me think too, like this kind of is a sidebar, but when you said worship is an invitation from the Lord, it's just like in different areas, like let's say when people go to a concert, they feel like they're okay yelling and acting like crazy people, right? Mm-hmm. Worship is an opportunity for us to just be able to freely enter into that place of dancing with Him in the rain. And we can do it anywhere we want, but like, if there's anywhere you can do it, it's church. Obviously, number one, it should be in your prayer closet and your prayer time. You can worship anywhere, anyhow, any when, right?
Yeah.
But like in church, you should be able to just like, people say, why does it take so long? Why do we take so much time on worship? And different things are important to different people. It's all important, right? But that worship time, God is the extension of that time, and it going longer is just the longer opportunity and the invitation for those who are still haven't said yes to that hand that's being reached out and inviting people to dance in the rain with them. That's a longer period of time for them to give their yes, if that makes sense. And it allows you to get freer and freer, and for your dance and your legs and yourself to get more and more carefree in His presence. And so some people get upset with the time frame, but really worship is about God, but it's also about us accepting the invitation to really just dance with Him and to be free in Him. And if there's anywhere we can do it, like, man, that's the place. Let it go. Dance.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people struggle to know the anatomy of worship. That it takes time. It's like an incubation period of just getting into the presence. It takes time. Like if you have 10 minutes of worship, I would say personally, I have not been able to get into a depth of worship that is valuable to me in 10 minutes. All worship is valuable, but that when I can actually go deep with God is not in the first 10 minutes.
Well, I think it takes time. We have to work through
Yeah.
all the things, right?
Mhm.
Because I mean,
You have to get past yourself.
right? And so to get to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to grab your hand. I'm going to dance with
Mhm.
you in the rain. I'm going to live carefree.
Mhm.
I'm going to, at least for this moment, and hopefully it goes beyond this moment, because we want to carry whatever
Yeah.
we experience in his presence out with us so that we can live out and live out carefree.
Yeah. And I think kind of going along with the dancing in the rain is like, if you're like, parents who spend time with their kids will know this. If you're trying to play with your kid and like you're trying to swing them, like, I don't know, like spinning in a circle and you're holding their hands so they like fly off the ground. If they are not fully willing to get lifted off the ground, they will hurt themselves, and they won't be able to go off the ground. And you won't be willing to lift them off the ground. You have to trust God fully and worship to allow Him to take you where He's going to take you. Worship is kind of like practice for a sport. A lot of people say this, our time on earth is just practice for heaven. I agree. So are we going to take this practice seriously?
Yeah.
Are we going to practice like our life depends on it? Or we have the championship game coming up. Are we going to practice like tomorrow's the championship game?
Yeah. Well, and I would say, and obviously we're not just talking about in worship, we're talking about in life. And I think we kind of started out that way, and we've talked about worship, and now we're bringing it back to living carefree and taking the invitation to dance in real life, and taking our experiences wherever it is when we accept the invitation, and just to make it a lifestyle to where it's more than just experiences in his presence or experiences of feeling that carefree, but we grow that muscle and we grow that acceptance of his invitation to dance with him carefree. And we meditate on all the ways that he has taken care of us in the past, and all the ways that we can see that he's been so careful with us and he's been deeply affectionate with us, so that we can live carefree and we can dance in the rain. And here's the really cool thing too, like to add to that, there's another vision that God gave me. And when I say vision, some people have where they actually are almost caught up in things. For me, I just get pictures in my mind. And so, it was really cool. I used to go to a gym and go sit in the sauna after a workout, and I would just lay there, and God started with a little part of this vision. And then for about, I would say 6 months, God kept building upon the vision, and it involved a lot of things, but one of the main things it involved was me being dropped into different battlefields. And I would be there with Jesus, and I would dance with him. He said, just dance with me. And I would just dance in his arms. And as long as I kept my eyes on him and just followed his lead, I didn't get caught up in what was happening around me. The battle was being won. And what was really cool was, as I kept dancing with him, other people started dancing. They started following suit and dancing and following the moves and learning the dance. And the battle was overcome in each of those areas and each of those battlefields. And the hardest ones were my battlefields. Other people's battlefields, when I was dancing with Jesus, no problem. On my own battlefields, where it takes a little bit more to be carefree and not to be distracted, because this involves people that I care about and things that I care about personally. But so when we learn to live carefree, and when we learn that he's taking care of us and we live that dance, other people see and other people follow suit, and battles are won.
And I think a part of that, like people seeing, there's going to be times where people do judge and people do realize. I mean, they don't realize. They think that you're doing life wrong. Yeah. They think you're, you don't care what people think?
Yeah.
You should totally care what I think. Like, my opinion means everything.
Right.
When they think that, they obviously, don't take it as gospel. What they're saying is because they're insecure about themselves, or they just want you to reside in your flesh. Yeah. But when you live a carefree life, you're relying on God to give you your identity and your base. Well,
and I would say, when you do live carefree with this idea that God cares for you. We're not talking to people who are lazy and who are disassociating and not dealing with reality. We're talking about those who see the facts around them, but believe the truth and are just going to know that God is going to be faithful to take care and to lead them through whatever the valley is or whatever the highs are. And so when that happens, other people they may not understand it and feel like you are being irresponsible, and they may really care about you because they're like, no, you need to, but
they have a different perspective.
Right. And that's just a matter of communicating. Hey, I'm not disassociating. I see what's happening. I'm not being lazy. I'm just trusting my Jesus that he's going to take care of me. And so I think that is something, if you do start to live that dancing in the rain kind of lifestyle, then I think there will be people that will misunderstand and misjudge, but God looks at the heart.
Agreed.
He doesn't look at, the appearances. And then, I want to know, like,
well, right before that.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say, so I think a lot of people think that God is also going to do all the work. I think when you're dancing in the rain, whose feet is the one moving?
Yeah.
It's your feet
that's
moving.
Good. Good, Josiah.
So you need...
Wow.
Fist bump.
Bump.
Anyway, so it's God's not going to force you to move your feet.
No.
He's going. You have to move your feet. So when I think a lot of the time right now for me, I'm asking the question, okay, God, where is my spouse? And then I realize, okay, I actually had to be proactive and go and ask people out on a date.
Hey, there's a novel idea.
Oh.
Woo, this is progress, Josiah.
No, I realized this like a while ago. It's
well, I'm just hearing this now.
There's nobody in my life equally yoked as me right now, okay? I go
that you know of.
That I know of, at least, okay? That is facts. There's a lot of people out there, okay? Anyway, but what I'm saying is...
I'm praying for that, by the way.
Okay,
just
appreciate
so you know.
it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But like I said, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take me to move my feet. It works in every avenue of your life. Would you like to give an example?
Ugh.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
What? What do you mean? Like a specific example in my life of when I've had to do that?
Yeah, when you've had to. So you've prayed for like.
Okay. Yes.
An example of when you asked God.
Yes. Okay. So, for very instance, right now, very instance. So, my husband, we've talked about this before, has been out of work for going on 9 weeks now.
It's a long time.
And it's amazing. I'm watching God, take care of us. And
I want to just say
we've had friends that have helped us.
9 weeks is a long time. There's 52 weeks in a year. That's almost a fifth of a year.
Yeah.
So
I know. So we have a good support system. We have all of that. But for me in the past, I would get very anxious in regards to, what is this going to look like for Dan? Like who is he going to be working with? What kind of environment is it going to be? Is it going to be safe? Is there going to be some beautiful woman that I'm going to feel insecure with, which I don't need to, but that's just being real. Just, is he going to have to travel? Which he really seeks all that out. Is it going to be a job that's fulfilling? Is this all these things? And and that's part of why I was going to this verse, because I've heard this verse lots in NIV, King James Version, grew up with that, but just kind of letting it sink in on a new level. And did it. But I was like, I sought God out in that. And I've chosen not to go down the normal path of trying to control my future by preparing my heart for the worst, or acting in fear and anxiety, or trying to think of all the possibilities of all the negatives that could be there, so that when or if they come, I'm prepared. Instead, I'm like, nope, I'm going to live in today. I'm going to live focusing on what God has done for me in the past, reminding myself of those things. So it's a discipline. The Bible verse that talks about the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and one of the versions says a self-disciplined mind. So that would be a practical example.
Nice. Okay, what were you going to say before I kind of went on a...
No, I think
sidebar?
I mean,
it wasn't a sidebar.
I think you actually answered. I think that was some of the things that I was actually going to go into, to be honest with you. So I did want to ask you, Josiah.
Sure.
What helps you to live? Now, remember, this is not disassociated. This is not lazy. This is what helps you to live carefree. What helps you to live dancing in the rain?
Oh, well, everything comes back to getting into the presence and getting into relationship with God, because you can't live in a way that is with him without being with him. Because you need to go back to your source at some point. Everybody gets thirsty at some point.
So true.
So you can't. It's gonna take. You gotta have a relationship with God to be carefree with God.
Yeah.
So that is my number one way. A lot of the time, also, I'll just be like, okay, where's my identity coming from? So if you feel something coming up and you feel like, oh, I'm feeling really judged right now, where's that judgment coming from? And then you got to ask yourself, where does my identity come from?
Right.
And that's where that sozo comes in again.
Yeah.
So that Kairos event coming up.
Oh yeah, we do.
This Sunday, the 16th.
Actually, this will be. Is this?
Oh,
yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we had a Kairos event yesterday. We're filming and we're recording this beforehand, but we're doing it. We did it on rejection, and we do the Kairos events actually.
I believe it's every 2 or 3 months.
It's every 6 months, and so our next one will probably be in April or May, right around there. So anyway, be listening to us. We'll give you more details about that. It's a wonderful, beautiful experience for you to actually learn how to be carefree and just dancing in the rain, really, truly, in your soul, in your spirit, and that, of course, affects your body.
Yeah. We're just getting in a relationship with God. It's a way I can live carefree. What about you? I mean, I know you're probably going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I think, we did a podcast. Our first podcast was on Trust Without Borders. And I think there has to be the relationship, and that's key, because if you don't have the relationship, you don't know you're loved, and you don't, then you're not going to trust. You don't feel safe to trust. And I think, again, just being self-aware, when things come up, not to just not deal with them, not to just disassociate from them, not to feel guilty and shameful about it. Whatever it is, it's okay. Just acknowledge it, and then just reach out for his hand and take his invitation to dance with him. Even when, there's a book called Dancing on the Graves of My Past or something. Anyway, there are analogies of dancing with broken bones. And that means even when you're broken, even when you have, trauma that comes up, still take his hand and still take the opportunity to go with him, even when it's hard. But yeah,
it is hard at times, I will say. And I think if you haven't listened to the last couple episodes, please go listen to them. It's kind of amazing because we didn't plan, we didn't have all of these lined up in chronological order, so they built on each other. That's just God's planning. So if you haven't listened to the first couple episodes, our first episode, our second episodes, listen to them, because they do build up onto this. Trusting Without Borders is definitely needed to allow God to allow us to dance without cares, dancing in the rain.
Anything else? Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about any of this?
If you have any experiences, feel free to leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear your guys' story. We'd like to hear examples and encouraging stories, because, I think a lot of people need to hear them. Our stories are great and all, but I think people like you can really speak to other people.
That's right.
That listen to this. We can even, if you feel comfortable and you feel like we can say it on our podcast, maybe one of these times we'll get to it and we'll say it.
Yeah.
Because testimony, there's power in the testimony.
That's right.
So
that's right.
We'd love to hear it. If you have any questions for us on other the practicals regarding dancing in the rain and living carefree, feel free to leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Again, just like your testimony, we'd love to hear your opinions on this podcast as well. If you think there's anything we can improve on, please let us know.
Let us know.
And like, share, and subscribe.
That's right. We're on YouTube, Open Waters Worship. We're also on Facebook, Open Waters Worship, all one word. And then we're also on Instagram. It's at open_waters_worship. And you can get us also on Spotify, obviously.
Yep.
Spotify. You can listen
Apple
to us.
Music. If this is out on Apple Music, you will still have access to these. So Apple Music people, sorry for the delay. We are on our way.
Working hard. Just a little hurdles to jump over.
Yeah, Apple's being difficult. I think they're trying to censor us.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Well, it's a good time. I don't think we're that important.
No,
I don't think they care about it.
No, they don't care about us. They got other bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah, they do.
But anyway, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for
you
listening.
guys. Yeah,
and joining us again next Monday when we'll be back right here.
We'll be
until then. I hope you dance. I
Dance
hope
in the
you
river.
dance.
Bye, guys.
Bye.